Hey everyone, Michelle here with Next Chapter Counseling. I've got another weekly question for you guys. And the question that I got this week is how can you move on after a relationship has ended when you still have to see the person who is now your ex? So I'm really glad this question came up because I think it's more common than people think it is. In an ideal world, when a relationship ends, you would never have to see or talk to that person ever again if you didn't want to. But there's lots of circumstances where that's simply not the case. This person is in your life for one reason or another, even though you guys aren't together anymore. So I thought of a couple circumstances where this could happen. The first is if you guys share kids together. If you have kids in common, there's no way you're going to be able to avoid that person forever. You're likely going to see them at school functions, your kids' sporting events, whatever it may be. You're going to have to communicate about the kids' care. This person's in your life no matter what for the long haul if you share kids in common. Some other circumstances I thought about would be if you work with this person or if you go to school with them. And I'm sure there's a lot more that I'm leaving out, but those are some that came to mind for me where this situation would come up where you have to see your ex even though you're not together anymore, and it's kind of unavoidable. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, can't you just change jobs or change schools or things like that? And yeah, some people may choose to do that, but I know there's plenty of people out there where that would be a huge burden and it would really mix up their life in a way that they're not able or willing to do. So they'd rather face the uncomfortable awkwardness of seeing their ex than to make a big change like that. But I think it's also important to mention before I get into my suggestions about times where it's really important that you actually not see your ex at all, even if you're broken up. And I'm specifically thinking about if there was abuse in your relationship or if that person is in any way a danger to you, then it's really important that you take the steps that you need to take to protect yourself. And yes, that may mean making a big change in your life so that you don't have to have contact with this person. It may mean taking legal action. So that is an important kind of disclaimer I want to say here, is that if that applies to you, you are going to want to make sure that you don't have contact with this person anymore. But I also know for most people out there, that's not the case. It just was that you guys were together, you decided it wasn't working, you broke up, but there's no safety risk here if you do continue to see your ex. And that's what I really want to address in the suggestions that I'm going to make, is how to still have contact with them, but also how to make it a little, again, like less awkward and uncomfortable than it's going to be. So, the ideas that I have for you guys are, first thing, to try to minimize contact as much as possible with them. I know that may seem obvious, but there may be some people out there who, when they know they have to keep seeing their ex, they just kind of think to themselves, okay, well, like, I have to see them, so I can't really tell them no, or I can't really set up boundaries with them because, like, I'm just going to see them anyway, so what can I really do? But there's actually a lot that you can do. So I'm going to give a couple examples here based off of the different scenarios that I named. So if it is that you share kids with this person, you may decide that you guys are only going to talk about things related to the kids. You may also decide that when you do see each other, like for pickup and drop-offs, like that's not the time to ask each other like how your weeks were or anything like that. Like we're just going to keep this very short and to the point and, keep it moving so that we're not getting into things that don't pertain to the kids. So that's one way to minimize contact. If you guys work together, you again may decide to only talk about things related to work. You may choose to take breaks at a separate time than your ex if that's realistic. Or also, if it's realistic, you may decide to turn to different coworkers for help with things instead of maybe turning to your ex. Again, that may or may not apply with your specific work situation, but really trying to make it clear that work is work and you're not really going to be having any contact with them that could lead to more social communication. And if you guys like are in school together, like you may decide to sit somewhere else or just have a simple like hi and bye at the beginning of class. And again, not really engaging in small talk with one another. So think about what you feel comfortable with and what you don't feel comfortable with. Think about what is mandatory, like, okay, we have to talk about this, and think about the things that you don't need to talk about and make some changes in how you relate to your ex. Hopefully they'll get the idea and they'll see that you're trying to put some distance between you and them, and they'll kind of go along with it. If for some reason they keep pushing to talk with you more often or to really try to just have it be like how it was before, you may need to sit them down and have an honest conversation about what your boundaries are, what you are okay with, what you're not okay with, and hopefully they'll respect those. Again, if for some reason they continue to not respect those, you may have to get someone else involved. Family members, if it comes to kids, facilitating communication between the two of you, a boss, a teacher, whatever the case may be. But hopefully they'll respect your boundaries if you say, this is what I will talk to you about and when, and this is when I won't talk to you and what I won't talk about. And hopefully they'll respect that. The other thing that I recommend is because you have an idea of when you're going to see this person for the most part. You know when your shifts are going to be together, when your classes are, when you're going to see each other for things related to your kids. And to really do something, it doesn't have to take a lot of time or be very big, but do something to get yourself mentally and emotionally ready for that. Whether it's like taking a few breaths before you leave the house, or like telling yourself some positive things in your mind to get you prepared and confident for seeing them. And then also, after that interaction is done, you may be surprised, especially the first few times that you have to see them, how emotionally drained you may feel after being around them. And so making sure you have something else that you can do, like when you get home, to also take care of yourself and kind of slow down and just give yourself a little space to pause in the chaos that can be life, and to just really acknowledge for yourself that this is hard and that you're doing the best you can and trying to take care of yourself when you do have to see them. And kind of going along with that, my third suggestion is that you really involve family members and friends and people that you know if you feel comfortable doing so, because they can be a great distraction, and B, a good source of emotional support for you when things may feel difficult with your ex. So again, this may be kind of, as I've already suggested, like you can sit with someone else in school, you can spend more time with other coworkers than you would with your ex. You can have family members there for pickups and drop-offs, or to come with you to things like the school recital if you don't want it to just be you and your ex there. Like, involve other people so that you can turn to them and talk with them, whereas maybe before those would have been things you would have gone to your ex for. Have these other people there to really kind of bolster you up and be a buffer between the two of you, and to, comfort you if you're having a hard day, so that they understand what you're going through. So that's my thoughts on this. So basically, figure out how you can minimize distractions, where you can do that, and how. Figure out how you can take care of yourself when you do have to see your ex, and use the people around you to make sure that you have support and that you're not going through this by yourself. So if you have a weekly question for me, I would love to hear from you. nextchapter.michelle@gmail.com is where you can get a hold of me. Just send me an email with your question, and I'll be here next week with another video. Thanks, everyone. Bye.